Hello, everyone, and thank you for taking the time to listen in to my presentation on parent involvement planning. Today, I want to take you through 5 different ways that you can begin to promote cultural diversity and awareness in your classroom. We're going to talk about communication, engagement, methods, shared decision-making, and community support. So let's get started. So as we talk about communication, there are 2 main aspects that I want us to focus on today. The first is the ClassDojo tool, which you know I'm a huge proponent of. I love ClassDojo because it's able to be translated into any language, and not only do they have an instant translator, but they also have printouts that can be printed in any language. And so this is a great tool for parents, especially those that are unfamiliar with the English language, so that they can stay involved in their child's education. They can be in the communication loop, and they don't miss out on important information that is coming home from you on a daily basis. I always like to take a few minutes during back to school night to confirm that every parent has downloaded the app. I look at the app and I make sure that it's working properly before they leave that day. I've been using ClassDojo for many years, and every year I have every single parent in my classroom that's linked in, and we are all able to communicate every single day. So it is really a wonderful tool. If you have not already started using it, I urge you to do so. I also like to send positive messages each month to all parents, regardless of just something that the class is doing as a whole that's really, really good. And then each day I send a new positive message to a parent that is personalized for their child. So it could be something that I've noticed in the classroom behavior-wise, or it could be a paper that I've graded that the child did really well. For instance, I just had a student that passed all their multiples of 12, and so I sent a picture to the parent and I celebrated with her, and it was a great moment for both of us. She had been practicing them for months, and she was finally able to say them the other day. So different things of that nature. Any parent, regardless of their culture, they want to know that their children are doing well. They want positive feedback, and so that is a great way to do so. I also like to assign tasks on ClassDojo that build family time. For instance, in math, we just learned about multiplication, so the children learn how to make arrays. So I told them that night to, whatever they're eating, make an array using the food. So I had arrays of chickpeas, I had arrays of Pringles, I had arrays of strawberries, and that's just a fun way for the children to get into it. The parents are into it because it happens at dinner time, and it's fun because it's involved in food. And also some pictures of every child. I send one picture of each child per month to all the parents, so that they see that you're unbiased and they see what children are doing, and each family is able to celebrate with their children when they go home that day because they had a picture or photo on ClassDojo. And then another way to be universally impactful is just having positive communication. Once again, positivity is universal. Everyone loves positive communication. So a handshake, remembering the family's name, smiling when you see them, inquiring about their family life. You know, what should I know about a family from Zimbabwe? What should I know about your family traditions and your culture? During back to school night, I always had my parents fill out a questionnaire. And in that questionnaire, I asked them about their nationality. What are some of their family traditions that are special for you that we could celebrate in the classroom? What are some things about your child that I should know? Positives. What are some of the things you would like the child to work on this year? What are some goals you have for your child? And then being attentive when you're talking to families, giving them eye contact is extremely important. As far as engagement is concerned, there's a really wonderful resource by Miss Amy Scarf on teaching tolerance. And I have actually included a link here that will take you to an article written by her concerning cultural practices for anti-bias education. But for time's sake, I just want to share several bullet points with you from that article that will help us as we think of ways that we can be more engaged with our parents. Once again, the goal here is to create a strong partnership with families. And so that can be accomplished by assuming good intentions about each family and their child. Parents want what's best for their children. So always assume, regardless of how much or how little a parent is doing, that they want what's best for their child. Invite parents and guardians to share knowledge about the child's life. What are their interests? What are their hopes? What are their struggles? I always like to do this during back to school night questionnaires, but if you have another creative way of doing so, by all means, whatever works for you, but find out that information. That will be very important, and the parents will really appreciate you taking the time to find out more specific information about their background and what makes their child unique. Inviting parents or guardians to share information about family cultures and traditions. I do that in the questionnaire as well. Recognizing and respecting differences in family cultures and structures. This is accomplished through relationship. Every time you see the family, taking the time to say, oh, wow, that was really interesting what you wrote about your family tradition at Christmas time. Can you tell me more about that? How long has that been a tradition in your family? Is that a cultural tradition, or is that something special that you've designed to share with your children? Having those conversations and showing a unique and genuine interest in the child and their family life will make you such a special teacher, and the children will really appreciate it, and their families will appreciate it as well. Recognize the role that identity and background may play in shaping relationships between you as a teacher and the family. And then being honest about that. Wow, I've never taught a family from Shanghai. Can you tell me some things I should be aware of as I build a partnership with you this school year? And different things of that nature. Bring a sense of self-reflectiveness and cultural humility to all conversations and interactions. Doing your research. Once they filled out the questionnaire, if you see you have a family from Shanghai, go do some research on Shanghai education in Shanghai, family structures in Shanghai. What are some cultural norms for people from Shanghai? And then coming back and sharing those with the families, they will appreciate the effort that was put in order to learn more about them and their family. And then view linguistic, cultural, and family diversity as strengths. Finding ways that you can even incorporate those strengths in the classroom, inviting them in to make presentations or to do research or reports about their family and their family life, their culture, and their nationality, I think will go a long way in helping children to understand just how special they are. There are also several methods I wanted to share with you. Number one is Class Dojo, as I mentioned previously. I like using Class Dojo as a communication tool, but it can also be used as an actual cultural method, and I'll explain why. In Class Dojo, you're able to assign assignments, and you can always assign assignments that will help build family community, as well as helping you to learn about the cultural diversity that's represented in your classroom. For instance, if the children are doing a reading assignment, you could have them interview a family member about something that's related to the plot in the story or the problem in the story, and then learning of ways in which you can incorporate those cultural knowledge into the classroom to help other children solve problems. I always like to give assignments where they send a picture of a family heirloom or an artifact, and then they have to write something about it, or I'll present it and they have to present it at show and tell. Doing cultural projects throughout the school year, a wax museum where children can present on an infamous individual in their culture that made an impact on their history, or even having the children compile a series of small video clips and creating a documentary about the cultures of your classroom. Assigning homework that celebrates culture, like I mentioned previously. Do a family tree, and the children have to interview people in their family to find out where their family members come from. Doing international festivals and trips around the world where the children come to school with their passport, and there are presenters from around the world that are set up all throughout the school, or if you don't want to include the school, just your classroom, all throughout your classroom, where they can get their passport stamped for each culture that they go to visit that day. And then just making sure that it's infused in the curriculum and around the building, that children from different cultures, they should see themselves when they walk the halls. They should see themselves most certainly when they walk into their classroom, even if it's just their flag that's hanging up on the wall. Make sure that children are represented in a way that is unbiased and culturally sensitive. And then when we talk about shared decision making, as mentioned previously, we're going to look at this from the local administrative and district level. So of course, at the local level, the best way for shared decision making is through your parent teacher conferences. Finding out what the children are, what motivates the children, what doesn't motivate them, and then making sure that you provide opportunities, motivational opportunities for the children to enjoy in the classroom. Allowing the parents to make some decisions regarding their child's education, and forming a true partnership with those families. At the administrative level, giving surveys. As I mentioned previously, I give a survey at back to school night, and I pass that information along to my principal. I wish that he would, enforce that rule with all of the teachers, because I know he could get some really valuable information from the information that is presented on that survey regarding the demographics in the building as a whole. And then questionnaires at the district level. SurveyMonkey is a phenomenal way to do this. They generate reports, drafts are recorded from the information that is gathered from the SurveyMonkey results. And I feel like districts could use that to make district level decisions on curriculum and what teachers should be aware of. If there is a culture that's a dominant culture within the district, then teachers should be taught some basic tenets of that culture and how to approach and diverge with that culture. And then, of course, as I mentioned previously, building on cultural strengths. And I believe this can be done across the board at the local level, inviting those parents in to do demonstration presentations with the children on something special from their culture. At the administrative level, having them come in to do assemblies with the children, workshops with the children, on things that on a family business or tradition that is special. And at the district level, finding communities where a certain cultural group is very prominent, and doing something district wide in that community, having a block party or some type of festival or theatrical show would be great. Having a committee formed that addresses issues that arise with a certain family, or ways that we can better address phenomena that we're seeing across the board at different schools would be great to build cultural strengths. And then finally, I wanted to share with you a few ways that we can garnish community support. So I know at our school we have a PTO president who does a great job in getting parents engaged in the school and doing events that garnish parent involvement. The Home and School Association at your church could also be a phenomenal resource to help us with community outreach opportunities, especially for the children. I find that when children are engaged in their community and helping to support their community and giving back to their community, it not only helps with cultural sensitivity, but it helps with empathy for humankind. So anytime that we can get our children involved in community outreach, I think is great, and it definitely builds teamwork, and it takes away the differences between us, and it unites us in a very special and unique way. I know that our school has no guidance counselor or social worker, but I'm sure that our churches do. So getting out into your church, finding out who the guidance counselors and the social workers are, and how they can volunteer their time to help our children as they struggle through some very, very unique and complex challenges. And then making sure that we participate in those community events, show up when it's time to celebrate diversity, and learning about the families that are represented at our school, I think will go a long way in helping us be more culturally aware, culturally sensitive, and culturally knowledgeable about the families that we have represented here at our school. So I hope these tips help. By all means, if you have any questions, you can always message me, reach out to me. I'm here for you. And thank you so much once again for taking the time to listen and watch. I hope you have a great day.